It's time to sit back, relax, and listen to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life will inspire, motivate, and empower you. Live your best life now. Listen, learn, think, and decide. Change your attitude, change your life. And now, here's your host, Joan Herman.
Welcome to Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. You're listening to us in your neighborhood from coast to coast and around the world. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Joan Herman, author, speaker, and your host. Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life brings you interviews with some of the most inspirational and influential people in the world. It's our goal to educate and empower you so you can live your best life now. Thank you for taking time for yourself, and thank you for letting us be a part of your life. We have another great show for you today. According to today's guest, James Van Praagh, because the soul's true nature is love, if we stray from that motivation, we will never feel at ease. Choices based on fear leave us drifting aimlessly, always in search of our heart's desires and never finding them. James is here to discuss the importance of recognizing and living our true life path. He is a #1 New York Times best-selling author and was a host of his own daytime show. James created and produced the Ghost Whisperer television show starring Jennifer Love Hewitt. His most recent book is Adventures of the Soul. Welcome, James. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, John, for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, James, I am so excited to have you here. I have followed your work for years, and I'm fascinated by what you do. And you've been working as a medium for many, many years, and you're recognized as a leader in this field. So when did you discover that you had this special gift?
Well, as a child, I used to see spirit all the time really from when I was in a crib. I remember seeing my grandfather. And as a young child, I used to see spirit all the time around people, and I used to see colors around people known as the aura. And I thought everybody could see these things until my mother one day said, you really can't tell people you see them because not everybody sees those things. So it started as a very young child, like the movie The Sixth Sense, but always very positive images, never negative images.
And I know your story. As you got older, you had actually gone to a medium yourself, and that person told you that you were going to be doing this work. So you weren't doing this in between that time when you were a child and when you went to meet that medium.
That's right. To me, it was a very natural thing that if everybody could do that. I didn't think anything special about it. And I actually went to Catholic school for many, many years, and my mother was Catholic and indoctrinated into that belief. And in my early 20s, I moved to Los Angeles to be a sitcom writer, and that really was my desire. And it was through many, many jobs, temporary jobs, that I met this lady, Carol, my supervisor, and she asked me to go see a medium, and I didn't know what a medium was. And she said, he's someone who talks to dead people. And I said, I don't necessarily believe in that. But as soon as I walked into the door, this man looked at me and he said, you're a medium, and the spirit world want to use you within 2 years' time because you're going to help change the consciousness of the planet. And I thought he was kind of crazy because I'm from New York, and I was like a little cynical New Yorker. But what happened was it started me on my path of, he was so accurate with the details he came through with that I read up on books about life after death, psychic phenomena, and I started meditating. And I meditated because I just really wanted to feel better and I visualized my future. And I was starting to do regular meditation. And it started then, after doing meditation, I started seeing colors and auras around people and spirit again. And that was in my early 20s. So it started up again in my early 20s.
And James, I know that one of the questions you are frequently asked is, how do I know if I have a psychic gift? So you were talking about having this gift as a child. Do you believe that most of us, or even all of us, have this ability to some degree?
I do believe that everyone is psychic. Everyone is. Everyone is psychic. Everyone's born with a sixth sense. Whether that's fully developed it's up to that individual soul. And then mediumship is always rarer than psychic phenomena because mediumship is really, I would say, it's an ability which people are born with, and some people have it more than others to the surface, and it can be developed. But it's rarer, mediumship. A full developed mediumship is rarer, and the person really has to develop it and be patient with it and really work with mediumship. So mediumship is very, very different than psychic because a psychic, everybody has the ability to read energy from somebody because we're all energy. so people can read the past, present, and future. Where a medium not only is very, very psychic, and that's a strong foundation, but they're also able to sustain a certain amount of energy, if you will, at a certain level where they're able to interact with the higher levels of the spirit world and really maintain that level in order to bring through information from the spirits.
So, James, if we all have this psychic ability, for someone that might be skeptical and thinks that it's only doing what it is that you do, how can that person hone into that psychic ability and have it be of benefit in daily life?
Well, I think the first thing is everyone has to realize that they're a soul, first of all, having a human experience, not the other way around. And as a soul, the soul's natural language is intuition. And every single person has had experiences where they've thought about someone, 5 minutes later the phone rings and it's that person. We've all had these gut feelings, these hunches about things. That's your intuition. So the more someone pays attention to the feelings that they get when those occurrences happen, then they'll realize what their psychic ability is all about. So through meditation, through relaxing the mind, they'll be able to really listen in a much clearer way to the psychic ability, to the intuition. So let's take time and listen and be aware. And in a way, I say to people, it's getting out of the head and getting into the heart, because the heart is the seat of the soul. So the more one has a relationship with their soul, the easier it will be to develop their psychic ability.
Well, James, I've been doing this more and more, and one of the things I've always wondered, how do I know if the answers that I'm getting are coming from God or my inner wisdom, or if it's just me answering myself? How can I discern what is really the true answer that I'm supposed to pay attention to?
So the hardest part, I think, in mediumship and in psychic phenomena is really that part, is the discernment between my own ego coming through and that which is separate of my ego coming from another realm, another area around me. And really the answer to that is practice, practice, practice. Because the more you practice and learn how to differentiate the feelings, the thoughts, the visions that you receive, you'll be able to really discern between the two. And there is a difference. It's a very subtle difference, and it's a hard thing. But when a person is willing to let the ego step aside and surrender to these feelings, then that begins the process. But it's a hard process, Joan. That's a very difficult one. But when people have the time and the patience to do that, they can learn to do it.
So we all have spirit guides, and these guides are giving us information when we're quiet. And are they always available for the asking?
Yes. We have every single person has spiritual guides, teachers, master teachers, angels, ascended masters, and we as souls have been with them, some of them many, many lifetimes, or for some of our guides, there are some guides that come to us who are just assigned to us for a certain project that we're working on. And then there are other guides. We have philosophy guides, spiritual guides. We have guides that are family members that have passed over who are trying to influence and help us from the other side. Maybe they weren't able to do something for us while they were alive on the earth, but now in the spirit realm they're able to help influence in positive ways, so they will do that as well. So all of us have guides. We call them guardian angels. Whatever you want to do, you can do that. And there are ways we can get in touch with your guides where you can really go into a meditative state and ask them to come into your space and just feel what the energy feels like when your guide is present. And there'll usually be a sense of an upliftment or a sense of joy. And you'll feel that, and that'll be your recognition of the guide being in your space.
And I know you just mentioned that some of our guides can be past loved ones or loved ones that have passed away. And I know that that's why a lot of people want to work with someone like you, because we want to feel connected to those that we love. So short of being in a situation one-on-one talking with you, is there a way that we can learn to communicate on our own with our loved ones that have passed?
Yes, very much so. You don't need a medium necessarily to hear from spirit, because they know you better than the medium knows you. So that bond of love, which was created originally, still exists. So you really just have to, again, it's getting out of the head and into the heart. It's letting go of the rational mind, if you will, and giving them space to come in. So it's a matter of just really slowing down, getting to the quiet, sitting in the quiet. And when I mean sitting in the quiet, sitting 5-10 minutes, just in the quiet, being aware of them coming close to you, into your mind. Really, soul communication is mind-to-mind communication. When we pass out of the physical world, the brain dies with the physical body, but the mind continues on. So the mind is part of the soul. So really, when the spirit comes to you, it is a mind-to-mind communication. They're telepathically sending you thoughts from their mind to your mind. So as long as you can open up your mind, quiet it down, and listen, you'll be able to hear them.
So, James, for someone like you, are you ever able to turn it off? Like right now, you're talking to me,
Yes.
and and I'm curious. You're sitting where you are, and I'm here. Is there anyone that's around you, with messages for me, or are you able to push that aside and just focus on what's at hand?
Well, that's a great question, and people should understand that in proper development of mediumship, which these days is it's really unfortunately not getting publicized enough, because the proper way to develop your mediumship, which I developed with this British medium years ago, is when you're ready to do readings or work, you really have to open up each energy center, the chakra points, and you really put yourself into a mindset where you open up the atmosphere around you, and then you invite the spirit world in, and you're in control of your mechanism. You're in control of the mechanism of the mediumship, your body, your mind, and then it's like a radio. You turn the radio on and you tune in, and then the spirit comes in. But when you're not working, you're turned off. So I'm not, my awareness is not there at all with the spirit if I'm not working.
Well, because I think it's, we always have this mindset. You mentioned the sixth sense, like everywhere you look, you see someone, and, like you just can't get away from it. So,
and Teresa Caputo, who's a very good medium, she's a Long Island medium on TV, very famous. And unfortunately, the way they produce that show, it just shows her walking into a bakery and all of a sudden a spirit pops up. It doesn't necessarily happen that way. It does happen, but not as frequently as they portray that. And, when you portray something on television, people think that's just the way it is. So I can tell when someone is a very trained and developed medium if they're able to turn it on and turn it off. And if they don't, the thing I'd like to say is if it's constantly on, you're really going to strain your adrenal system, the glandular system, because if it's let's say a fan that's always on and working, the fan is completely working all the time, the motor's going to burn out. So we've got to be very, very careful and cognizant of using the instrument, the mechanism, the right way, and moderation. It's all about moderation.
James, from doing this type of work for so many years and from communicating with those that have passed on, what have you learned about life that you think is an important lesson for all of us?
Well, great question, Joan. Thank you for asking a great question like that. I've been interviewed many, many times, and I really respect when the interviewer asks smart questions. As a medium, and then again, this is my own self, and we have to be responsible for ourselves. There are many mediums out there. Every medium is different because there's a personality. There's a human part of them as well. So I'll tell you this, that every medium out there, there are some mediums who are excellent technicians and bring through evidence, and they're wonderful, but they're not one bit spiritual. So that's very, very different. So to me, I am a spiritual medium, which means that I'm a teacher. I'm a teacher of spirituality. And the work that I do, the mediumship is really just the manifestation of the awareness that we move on. The consciousness survives death. So I believe I learn every single day. I learn through every reading I do. And a medium really has to be open to learning every single day. So what I've learned, and of course it develops and evolves as the days go by, but something which is very consistent is that everything is energy. And how you treat people, the golden rule, it will come back to you. And if we realize that we are a soul being made of pure love, and that fear is a human trait. Fear is not a soul trait. Fear is very human-made. So if we can really have a relationship with our soul and realize that really it is you are a loving being, and that you attract like a magnet, you will attract that which you give out. And so I've found that it's really important in your life to make a difference with every single person that you meet. So if whoever comes upon your path, whether it's in an elevator, whether it's at a coffee house, whether it's at a business meeting, you have to leave your imprint of light or love, whatever that might be, but really there should be a positivity there. And I say that because, number one, that's the way it should be. And there's a rippling effect which will affect the world, but just that little bit, that person will tell some person, the energy gets spread out. So there's that rippling effect. And then I also want to say that I've learned from many, many years of communicating with the spirit world, 35 years, that when we first pass over, we have a life review. And we look back at our life and we see all the good things we did, the bad things we did, and we have this like a test because it's our schoolroom here. And we see the lessons we passed and the lessons we didn't pass. And I got real tired, Joan, of spirits coming through and saying, If only I knew that when I was alive, I would have treated that person a lot better. I'd have used love instead of fear. Why didn't I use love? Fear held me back. Fear is not my natural vibration. Love is the natural vibration. I might not have understood at the time, but I should have just used love. And really, judgment is fear-based. When we judge another person, that's fear-based. We want to feel in control, or we want to feel better than. So how do you do that? You judge another and put them down so you feel more in control. And that's just the ego, which is, edging God out. That's the ego, the human part of us. So the more we have a relationship with our soul self and treat others as we would be treated, really that's what I've learned. And I try to do it better and better and to define it more and more every day.
And James, if we live our life coming from a place of fear, then often we don't live to our true life journey, what we're supposed to be doing.
That is exactly right, because when you live in fear, you're blocking, you're limiting God, that source energy. You are closing off the source energy. And fear holds you back. It holds you back. So many people it can be a motivator, but I have found it to hold people completely back. And a lot of people have fear based upon what other people think of them. They're so concerned about having other people love them, doing what pleases other people. And I often say, no one can love you like you love yourself. What other people think of you is none of your business, because they don't know you as well as you know yourself. So fear is really, it's a false ego appearing real. That's really what it is. And we got to let that one go. We really do. And it's hard because we're living in a human world, a human three-dimensional world, which there's a lot of fear here. But that's the illusion. That's part of the illusion of this dimension. Okay? Only love is real.
James, how can we tell if we're living on our true life path? Are there signs or are there ways? I mean, I think I've come to learn that I'm on mine because it's almost like doors fling open for me now.
Exactly right. You answered your own question. A psychic, the very first psychic I went to see, and again, I wasn't really into this, but when I was 18, I went to I think it was an intuitive or a psychic, and she said to me something which still stands with me. She said, in life, you're on your right path. If the door is open, everything just falls into place and things are flowing. You're not doing your right thing that you're supposed to do. If there are limitations, walls go up, doors close, then you're not doing the right thing. So it's exactly what you're saying. If there's a passion that you have in your heart that needs to be expressed, some joy, you have joy in your heart with what you do, and mostly, believe it or not, the joy, the passion that one has usually involves another person, or person. So for yourself, you're bringing this light to so many people. That's a joyful, passionate thing, and you're following your truth. You're following your joy. So it's really following your joy. That's how you know you're doing the right thing.
The book is Adventures of the Soul by James Van Praagh. If you would like to get more information about James or his work, you can visit his website, vanpraagh.com. James, in our final moments, what would you like to leave our listeners with?
Well, I think that, a life well lived, and that's why we're down here on earth, to live a life well lived. Number one, believe in yourself, that, you have that energy. Don't look to other people to fill you up, because you have that love within yourself. And really, if you want a loving, happy life, you have to exude that. You have to bring that to people. So treat everybody as you want to be treated. Change the energy. When you're on an elevator, smile at someone. Use kind words, because it goes a long way. So that's how I think people should live their lives.
James, thank you so much for joining us today. It has been a joy to have you on the show, and I wish you much luck and much success with your future endeavors.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Joan Herman, host of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. Did you know that Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life has a free monthly digital magazine that can be read online or emailed to your inbox? Every month, nationally recognized leaders in their field provide information to educate, inspire, and motivate you. We believe in a holistic approach to life, incorporating mind, body, and spirit. Check out a copy of Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life 24/7. Visit CYACYL.com and be sure to tell your friends. Thank you for joining us today. We hope you found the show informative. At Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life, we believe that knowledge is power. Take what you've learned, apply it, and live your best life now. Remember that the information provided are the opinions of our guests and should never replace the advice of a professional who knows your personal situation. If you'd like more information, visit our website, cyacyl.com. That stands for Change Your Attitude, Change Your Life. While on the site, listen to past shows on demand, read the digital magazine, and be sure to follow the show on Facebook and Twitter. Until next time, this is Joan Herman. Thanks for tuning in.